What's up guys, this is Tampatec and this is the Legends Ultimate Mini. I live streamed, set up, but it didn't work. I did troubleshoot the unit. I troubleshooted the power supply and there was a game board in there and a control board that's underneath this control deck. I narrowed it down to the control board and it tested some parts that looked defective. We're gonna compare two boards and see if those parts were really defective that I troubleshooted and see if they were actually really bad. Now I like to thank Atgames for acting very swiftly and shipping out the board as soon as they could. I got the new board in today and we're gonna swap out the boards and go ahead and turn on the unit. I just want to let you know that this unit did not come from the factory. This was passed on from another person and then they set it up and disassembled and then shipped it to me. So between the manufacturer, having the other creator, having it in their hands, the disassembly and shipping it to me, somehow it went bad. And just to show you that it's still not working, there's no power right here. Now, I checked out the voltage on here, which you unplug this cable and let's go ahead and check out that voltage. I put my negative lead on the outside and my positive lead on the inside right here. And we are getting 12 volts. This is working. The power supply is good. Alright, this is the controller bus. Unplug that. USB unplugged. And power cable unplugged. And this should come straight out. Now underneath these rubber feet, you gotta peel up and there's screw holes. So you have to remove all the screws from here, 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 and here. We're gonna check the connection right here. Make sure you have voltage. And it looks like we have good voltage right here. Here's the power connection going to the game board. And I did receive all these connections, so that was not the issue. Alright, I can't use this screwdriver. I need to use a long screwdriver. There we go. Got it. Oh, don't want to pull too hard. Got these connections right here for the flipper buttons. Oops. And here we go. So now we got a couple connections. We got the power button right here. And we got the control board. Now I was reading the voltage going to here. I was reading 12 volts right on the board, and then right here on this side of the board it stopped. There was no voltage on this side. So going to the power button there was no voltage, and there's actually it says 3.3 volts. I was getting 0 volts there. Alright, so I switched to my overhead camera. Hopefully this helps you guys see better. And I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. There we go. All right, so let me go ahead and show you the parts I think are defective. Now right here, I have my negative lead on the side casing of the power plug. And then I had right here on the positive, and I was reading 12 volts. Now, of course, you don't read voltage now because it's not plugged in. But I was reading 12 volts, needless to say. And then over here, I noticed that I was reading voltage over here, but no voltage coming out to the power button. And so when I was reading voltage to this power button, and I should get voltage right here, there's a ground, G and D is ground. And then over here, I have 3.3 volts, and I was reading 0 volts. And I think that's ground right here. But anyway, I was reading 0 volts where it should be 3.3 volts. So obviously the power button wasn't working because there's no voltage going to the power button for it to work. And over here, when I unplugged the power, I read a shorted capacitor. So to read a capacitor, this is electrolytic capacitor, right? But there's also surface mounted capacitors that are, I believe, ceramic. And so you want to put your negative lead on a ground source right here. And then you want to go ahead. I have to zoom out for this, probably, right? So you guys can see the meter. Or maybe I can squeeze that in. So I put it in diode mode. Move this up a little bit. There we go. So I have the meter in diode mode. And so I put my negative lead on a ground source. And then I can read the capacitor. So right here, it's reading shorted, but it's just continuity. That's the ground side of the capacitor. All right, so that's normal. Now on the other side, you should not read that. It should have OL, or it'll read something, but sometimes it'll read OL on a meter. But you don't want it to read this. You don't want it to read a short signal, which is 0.000 or 0.003 or something like that. You don't want it to read shorted. And this is actually reading good. And this is a brown ceramic capacitor. Now, if you see the black surface mounted parts, those are, I believe that's a fusible resistor. And that's normal. You should be reading that. But they usually, they're there to protect the circuit. It doesn't always work. And then right here, there's really almost like microscopic size capacitors, right? Ceramic capacitors. These are brown. So I read one side, right? You think it's a ground side, right? But if you read the other side, you're also reading a short signal. So I believe these are shorted because both sides should not be reading that. You should have a reading like this. One side is a ground, and then one side is an open line or open loop. So that's a good capacitor. And then we have one right here. This is a ceramic capacitor, and it's brown right here. And then the other side is, of course, grounded to short. It's connected to ground right here. Now, there's an IC I think is bad, and this IC could cause these capacitors to short. They don't short on their own. They usually short because, you know, there's another thing that caused them to short. So I believe this IC is bad, but I don't know how to read this particular IC without a schematic. I mean, that's a ground probably. So it's really hard to read this IC without a schematic. So I don't know how to read that. Right here is the diode, and this is actually, it looks like good. And there's another diode. That looks like it's good. But anyhow, this capacitor right here seems shorted. The one next to it is shorted. Oh wow, this one too? So 3 bad capacitors. So let's go ahead and check out the other board. Thank you Atgames for shipping this really quick. Now remember, this did not come from the manufacturer. This is not defective out of the manufacturer. This is defective because it was passed along other YouTube creators. It's probably not best to like read it on that board. Let's go ahead and put this down as an insulator, right? And so let's go ahead and check out these parts. Still reading 0.5. So I believe, yeah, this capacitor too. So right here is the IC. It's reading 0.5, which is different from the other board. It was reading short or grounded. Yeah. That's probably ground, the center pin. And then the one outside is, it's reading 1 volt. diode test. 0.4 on the outside leg. 0.5 and 0.5. So we are getting a different reading on the IC, which could cause these ceramic capacitors to go bad. Now let's go ahead and, yeah, there you go. Probably a bad IC, right? What do you think? Check out the other capacitors too, since we're doing this. See, it's reading 0.4. That's shorted to ground, of course, because one side is going to be shorted to ground. I switch my leads. I gotta scratch the surface, get a good ground contact. Alright, so that's definitely grounded. That's grounded side on both of those. And the third one, that really tiny one, that's all probably connected to ground. And this one's reading OL. Open line, or some people like to call it open loop, but it means the same thing. An open line, which is interesting. All right, so we do have different readings. So this could fix the Legends Mini. There's only one way to find out. But if you guys are wondering, hey, you're testing it with all the wires connected to the joysticks and the buttons, you might get a different reading. Not necessarily, because these buttons are kind of like an open switch, right? And everything, all these are open switches. All right, so let's go ahead and remove all these parts. And we'll read it one more time. It's not coming out. Oh, these screws. Okay, here we go. Oh, there's more screws right here. I'm really going out of my way for this, right? I'm like really curious, and I also want to help out the community. So this video might help someone out in the future. All right, so we got this removed. Put this to the side. Put the new one back in. Line it up. So I could ship this back to them. I don't know what they want with this, but yeah. They can check it out if they want to. All right, let's go ahead and turn this on. Plug in the USB. Plug in power. And plug in the control board. And press the button. Oh, the button was pressed. Oh, it's light. It's lit it up. Oh, it's working. Oh, hell yeah. Boom! All right. That was it. It was a bad control board. Anyway, so yeah, this is the Legends Ultimate Mini. Very, very cool. Now I'm going to do a separate video about all the cool features this thing does. This video was too long. I wanted to end it short, and I want this video to be focused on the troubleshooting process of this whole cabinet. All right, we'll play Fix It Felix. All right. It's funny, he can't touch me if I'm all the way over to the right, which is interesting. Everything's working really good. I see the rewind feature works. Yep. everything works good. Guys, check out the newest. Guys, pre-order your Legends Ultimate Mini. Check out the link in the video description below. If this video was informative, give me a big thumbs up. Click on the share button below to share this video to anyone. This video will help. And subscribe and hit that bell notification to stay updated on the latest tech videos. Thanks guys for watching.